All righty, sports fans. This is Jed Wonderly with the Utah Sports Report. And probably this is episode 24. And probably for this episode, we're going to change it to the Oklahoma Sports Report because I've got a very special guest with us today. He's a great young man who I had the pleasure of coaching with my son for a couple of years. His name's Jalen Hill. I appreciate him coming on the show. And we're going to have a little fun. You guys are going to hear a great story and see a guy who I think should be in the NBA before too long. And we'll be back with everything right after this.
And they'll run it, Jordan! Ty Jordan! See you later! Touchdown, Utah!
4 seconds, 3 seconds. Back to Van Dyke, deep three up. And good! It's good!
They just need this to finish their best beam rotation of the year. And look at Ford, says get on your feet.
All righty, we are back, and I have Jalen Hill on the show with us today. Jalen, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You bet, you bet. You're always welcome, man. You're always welcome. Speaking of welcome, Jalen welcomed myself and his father, Rod Hill, into town in Kansas we came in on Friday. We got to, hang out with him a little bit on Friday night and then Saturday. Now, if you guys, any of you watching, if you're college basketball fans, you know that Allen Fieldhouse in Kansas is one of the iconic stadiums, and Oklahoma, who's got a great basketball history, was playing at Allen Fieldhouse against the number 8 Kansas Jayhawks. And Jalen was there and he was starting, and I'm telling you, the experience is amazing. And I'm just going to tell you this little story and get Jalen's reaction. We got great seats. We were sitting on the second row right behind Oklahoma's bench, and we were waiting for the game to start. Rod was talking to me a little bit, and he's talking and he's like looking at me, and he's got this big smile on his face, and all of a sudden he can't talk anymore. He just starts bawling like a baby. And it took him about 2 or 3 minutes to kind of compose himself. And he says, it's just so overwhelming, this experience. Now, imagine you have a young man, he's your child, and he's playing in a huge game like that has implications for the NCAA tournament. And that was Rod's experience. And I was happy to be a part of it. And Jalen, you got a father who loves the heck out of you and supports you. And I was so glad to be a part of that experience and appreciate you getting us tickets and visiting with us. So tell us a little bit about your experience. One, knowing that story now, and two, with that game.
Well, growing up, I think you might know this. I don't know, but Kansas was my dream school. So growing up,
Your dad said that about 5 or 10 times on the trip.
Yeah, so that was my dream school growing up. So anytime we get to go there and play, or get to play Kansas in general, I'm just so pumped for that game. I know my dad was thinking that, just seeing his son out there playing at the highest of stages, one of the biggest stages that you can play on in the Fog. It's a great stadium. Their student section, their fans are crazy. You can't hear a thing when you're out there. You just got to go out there and play. And just that experience alone was so much fun, and I can't wait to go back and beat them next year there.
Well, I hope you do, and I might go back for round 2.
Have to.
So tell me, like you mentioned the student section.
Yeah.
Your dad and I, noted it several times during the game. I mean, they were absolutely rocking. I think they have 2 student sections. There's one that's kind of the main section by the band, and then one at the opposite section, or at least it looks like a student section. And you were, I believe you were 6 for 8 from the free throw line in that game. You were 2 for 2 on your last 2 trips, but you started off 1 for 2 on your first 2 trips. Did the student section have any play in that, or?
I mean, I'd have to say so. Usually I'm a pretty good free throw shooter. So you taught me in the backyard. A lot of shots up.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I think their student section is one of the best student sections in the country. You can't compare it to any others. They come out every game, no matter who they play, where they're playing. Their fans travel. It doesn't matter. They're just some of the greatest fans in college basketball.
Yeah, they were loud. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is that you guys had the lead for, I think it was about 6:46 left in the game in the second
Yeah.
half when they got the lead, and they didn't relinquish it after that, although it was a heck of a game. 2-point loss for you guys up at their home, and that's a great game, nothing to hang your head about. But it seemed like as soon as they got the lead, they ratcheted up the noise and the energy, like tenfold or something like that. I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah, once they hit that, I think Zach Clemens, their third string big, which, to be honest with you, we had no idea who he was because he hasn't played all season. But he came in and made a couple big plays for them. And once that happened, you literally couldn't hear coach, you couldn't hear your own teammates. I don't know how Kansas plays in it every year because they must be yelling out there on the court.
Well, they quieted down when they had the ball, so it's like
Yeah.
definitely a home court advantage. I noticed too that Clemens came in. And I think there was one other guy that hadn't played the whole game, also came in at the same time. I'm like, what in the heck is they like saving these guys for for a big hero moment or something? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know that he hadn't played all year, because he looked pretty good, made a couple of good plays.
Yeah, he did. He didn't play all year. He was maybe their fourth string, because they played all three of their bigs, and then he came in, provided a really big spark.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he played up to that moment. He was like, "Mom and Dad, this is my time." Unfortunately, but
Yeah.
you had a great game. I want to talk about that just a little bit, as well as your game in general, before we get into a few other things. First of all, you said you're a pretty good shooter. I want to let you know that the statistics bear that out. So anybody watching this, he's 78.6% from the free throw line this year. That is super solid. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, you're averaging 29.3 minutes a game, which is up about 12 minutes over last year. I think you should have played more last year, but hey, what do I know? You're also, here's a great stat, and this is why, man, I wish they could get the ball to you more. You're 59.4% for your field goal percentage.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you're not taking easy shots. I mean, you do take some threes, but you're in there banging with some big guys. And a lot of times the people you're posting up are as big or bigger than you, and you're getting double teamed a fair amount. And that's the other good thing, is because when you get double teamed, you're not a black hole where you're just gonna, I'm gonna shoot this regardless. You make some great passes as well. You made a great pass last night in the Texas game where you got the ball in the post, two guys came up on you, and you did that little pass. I'm trying to remember who it was to, but it went for a layup. What's that?
Number 0, Goldwire.
Yeah, right. Goldwire. That's who it was. That was a great pass, and you've got great court vision like that. You're only averaging 1.5 assists a game, which was a little surprising to me, because in the games that I've been able to watch for you, you've had 2 or 3 assists each game, and you've got the good court vision. What's that?
I think that they messed up the stats. I don't think that actually reflects to my assists, because I be feeling like I get more throughout games as well.
I think so too. I think I'm going to go with that. I think you're right, because you are definitely a good passer. The other thing that that goes with that is that, you've got enough skills that you could definitely be scoring more, but, I think you're a really good team player.
Yeah.
And, regardless of what may be going on in your mind about, hey, I'd like to have a higher points per game average or what, you'd never know that, because, you're always out there giving 100% effort, and you're doing everything you can for the team.
Yeah. Well, I just hate losing, really. So help the team win. If that means scoring 15 to 20 points, I can do that. If that means getting 10, 12, 14 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, I'll end up doing that, making the dirty plays, hustle plays, anything just to help my team win at the end of the day. I'll do.
And everything you're saying can be backed up by, just watching a couple of your games. All the games that I've seen you play, I've seen you on the floor going after loose balls. I've seen you, the defense you play is definitely all conference level defense. And I can't wait to see the awards at the end of the season, because if you're not all conference defense, I'm going to write a letter to the Big 12 and let them know they got that wrong. And, I think the coaches probably vote on it. And so I'm going to write a letter to each coach and tell them, you got to watch Jalen play defense better, because he's shutting your team down.
Yeah.
One thing your dad and I talked about when we were watching the Kansas game is that when you were in the game, Kansas could never really get in a rhythm.
Yeah.
And then when they'd pull you out, they'd go on a little 5 to 8 point run. They put you back in and that stopped. And I think I told you that when I'm watching you play defense, not only are you defending your man, but in a lot of cases, when you feel like you're able to, you can kind of shade off your guy and help maybe in the post or whatever. Cause I've seen you get your hands in on some balls, who wasn't your man.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that has to do with our coaching staff and the coaches that I've had over the last couple of years, and even growing up, just being taught how to play defense. My dad, other coaches, even now, our coaches now do a great job with scout, so we know who to come off of whenever we're trying to get a steal, or who if we got to have a high hand at 24/7 with a certain guy. But our coaches do a really good job with scouting and showing us personnel. So by the time we get into the games, or at least when I get into the games, I know who I'm guarding, when I'm guarding them, and try not to make a mental mistake, because half the game is mental.
Exactly. That's a great point. So speaking about, you talked about they do a good job of preparing you for your guy. Again, in the games that I've seen, you're never on just one guy. I mean, you're rotating, and sometimes, even out of a timeout, you might be on a different guy out of a timeout.
Yeah.
Than you were going into the timeout. So are you watching film on every single guy that you think you might possibly guard?
Yeah. So what the coaches do is they'll send out a personnel clip to everybody. So we watch all the personnel, and then we'll go into film the next day. We'll watch it as a team, and then we'll watch their plays and their actions and their tendencies and what they like to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell that you actually watch the film and study and then work hard on the court, because, a lot of people, a lot of players tend to put more effort into the offensive end, because, the scoring is what's, catches a lot of eyes.
Yeah.
But you don't ever sacrifice your defense for your offense. You're giving 100% effort on both ends of the court.
I mean, I think I said in the press conference last night, no matter how you're playing on offense, if your shot's not going in, you can always do a couple of things. Your defense never goes away. Your hustle, energy, and your passion for the game, that never goes away. You always have that, even if your shot's not falling.
And that's awesome. That's awesome, Jalen. I love your attitude, and I love your work ethic and your effort. And I'm sure your coaches do as well, which is why, you're getting more minutes per game, and why they're relying on you more. And, I'd probably even have you playing more minutes, unless it tired you out and, put you at a risk of injury or something. So, I'm a little curious, Oklahoma is kind of out. I mean, great basketball school. I've always, kind of had something for Oklahoma, because I was a big Wayman Tisdale fan back in the day. But I'm a little curious as to what makes a young man from Las Vegas choose Oklahoma.
Well, growing up, you always wanted that true college campus experience, and I knew that I had a great tradition with basketball, and Coach Kruger, Hall of Fame head head coach, and he was recruiting me. And crazy thing, I think I went on my visit. I absolutely fell in love with the place, just the campus, the people here, the basketball program, and I actually really trusted Coach Kruger. And I got back home, and we were going through some old UNLV stuff in my house. And back in before 2010, for a couple of years, Kruger coached at UNLV. So we're going through some stuff, and we pull out an old pamphlet, and on the front page, it's Coach Kruger. So like at that moment, that pamphlet's probably about 10 years old, and to find that and see that, it was like, I think it's time to make my decision and go there.
Huh. And you played for Coach Kruger for a couple of years.
Yep.
And, he had Oklahoma doing really well. He had some good players on it and everything. And then he leaves. There's also, I believe Reeves was the guard who is now playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
And Porter Moser comes in. Not a guy who recruited you, but, a coach who's had some success at Loyola of Chicago.
Yep.
And got them, I believe, to the Sweet 16 at least 1 year, maybe 2 years in a row. But he's from the Majerus line, and Majerus always has his teams prepared, and I think Coach Moser has shown that he's kind of the same way. Yep. So how has that transition been? How do you like playing for him? How do the styles compare, both in terms of their coaching styles and playing, the type of games that you play?
Well, I'll start off with the differences, I guess. I think Coach Kruger was a lot more relaxed, chill. Porter is more. He has a lot of energy to him, in a very good way, though. Like he's always hyped about the games. You can tell we just feed off of his energy. I think their styles are a little different, but at the end of the day, they both defense, offense. They want to get running. At the end of the day, if we can get it running, take open threes and easy twos. Both two, like system wise, I'd say offense is totally different. Kruger, you didn't have as many plays. With Porter, you have a lot more plays, and we're running a lot more sets. But at the end of the day, they both run and get easy baskets.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think it's also neat, though, to be able to, get different perspectives like that and to learn from a couple of different successful coaches.
Yep.
Maybe prepare you for the NBA.
Exactly. Get me prepared for the NBA, and that's where I want to be in the future. So hopefully supporting my family and just being able to get there to be a dream come true, because as you know, that's been my dream my entire life.
Yeah. Well, I'm behind you 100%. So I'm hoping that you get there. And I think that you and I talked a couple months ago, and I told you, I think that with your work ethic, with your knowledge for the game, you're a smart player. I think you can get there, and I'll be cheering you on just as hard there as I am now. So let's talk about, a little bit more about your offense. We talked about your defense, and I do think that really it plays a big part in Oklahoma being as close as they were to Kansas, and also against Texas. I think the team in general played a better defensive game against Texas than they did against Kansas, but I also think Kansas is probably a better offensive team than Texas is. But you're multidimensional because you have ball handling skills and you can take it to the hole. And in the Kansas game, there, like, I believe right at the start of the second half, you started to get some people in a little bit of foul trouble. I think you had the ball 3 times, the first 3 possessions out of the half, or 3 of the first 4. and you took it strong to the hole, and got the opportunity to get some free throws and create some fouls for the other team.
Yeah. Well, I feel like me personally on the offense end, I can do a little bit of everything. I can bring the ball up the court. I can finish, knock down open shots when I have to. Just gotta stay confident with that. Even if I do miss a couple, just keep shooting them, keep getting them. But pass the ball, bring it up. I try to play a little bit of like point forward, bring the ball over, come off screens, and make plays for my teammates.
Yeah, and I think you do a good job with that. And you do create for your teammates. But I think another thing that you do really well is that you post up really well.
Yep.
You seal your guy off, and you give the person with the ball a good target to get it to. Unfortunately, I've seen a couple of times where the passers haven't been as accurate as I would like them to be, including toward the end of the Kansas game. There was a time that you had a guy posted up. He was a little smaller than you. He was fronting you. Yeah. And man, if the passer, and I know who it is, and I'm not going to say his name, if he had thrown a nicer ball, a little higher ball to you, you had just an easy bucket right there. Yeah. And that could be a different outcome for that game.
Yeah. Well, with that, I know exactly what play you're talking about. I also feel like I could have done a better job of going to get it. The pass was a little short, but I probably could have gone up there and snatched it from, like you said, it was a smaller guy. So at the end of the day, if he's a smaller guy, I got to find a way to get the ball.
Yeah. And see, that's another thing that probably why everybody likes you so much, your teammates and your coaches, is because you have that mentality that, hey, I can do better. And you take responsibility for that, whether or not, and it might be a combination, pass could have been better and you could have maybe, gotten it from him. But
yeah,
nonetheless, you have a good post up game against both people who are smaller and bigger than you. And, yeah. And you're able to finish off that. And if you get fouled, as you have several times in the last couple of games, you're able to, convert at the free throw line. Is there a player that you've watched that has the post-up game that you've tried to emulate, or is it just coaches working on it in practice, or a little bit of both, or where did that come from?
Well, growing up, I think one of my favorite players to watch now actually is Kawhi when he plays, because he can do a little bit of everything. He kind of myself, he can bring the ball up the court, he'll post up, shoots a lot of mid-range shots, and knocks down open threes. And just watching his quick post moves. I know my dad always compared me to Scottie Pippen. I think that's his favorite player. So
right.
And
your dad is from Chicago, so
yeah. They love them. They're Bulls out there. They don't care about nobody else.
That's right.
I love LeBron, so watching his post moves. You also get them just from learning from your teammates. Yesterday, before the game in our shoot around, me and my teammates were going over post moves and how to draw fouls and how to do that quick spin and just making post moves. So I think we learn from each other, and then also just getting in reps with the coaches and our managers and our GAs, just working out those reps so I can get to the basket.
Yeah, well, it's when you're doing those, you're obviously comfortable because you can accept the pass with either hand. Yeah. You can turn either way off either shoulder and then finish either way with right or left hand. And I think that's you can definitely tell when you're that comfortable doing it that you put in the work. I can't remember. I think it was against Kansas. You got the ball deep, kind of on the low block. You started spinning baseline, and then you spin back, quick move toward the key, and then go up and finish that way. And that's it's hard to stay in front of you, and that's when you also get some fouls called so that you play or whatever.
Sure. Well, I honestly think a lot of it stemmed from when I was younger. Just I was a lot bigger than a lot of people when I was younger, so I got to play post and work on my post moves. And then once I got to sixth, seventh grade really, I got to play a lot more guard because I wasn't the biggest kid at the time. So I think being able to play post when I was younger and then transition into playing guard and then combining both. So when I have a smaller guy on me, I can go to the post. And when I have a bigger guy on me, I can bring him out to like the mid post or the 3-point line and use my quickness against him.
Mm-hmm. And that's great that you've got that versatility because, that opens up a lot for you and for your teammates. If you're outside and bringing a big man out, Cutter's going through the lane, you can hit him with a pass or whatever and do that type of thing.
Yep.
So Jalen, what are your kind of realistic expectations for the team for the rest of the year going forward?
Oh, I expect us to make the tournament. If I'm being completely honest, I think that
I do too. Let's go.
I think that honestly, I think we can win out these next 5 games. Although we've lost these last 2 games, and we've had a rough stretch in the past. I think this team is coming closer, and I think everybody's buying in to the coaches, to each other, and I think you're just seeing a will to win now. And I think these next 5 games for us are pivotal, and I think that we're gonna find a way to win these games, go 5-0, 4-1, get to the Big 12 tournament, win a couple games there, hopefully win the Big 12 championship, and get to the tournament, NCAA tournament, and make a big surprise a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are doubting us right now, but in our circle, we still believe in ourselves and how far and how good we are.
I think you've got a great mix of players.
Yep.
You've got a lot of guys that can shoot, and they do all seem to be buying into the to the system, because none of them seem to be like the me first, I'm going to get mine,
Yep.
kind of mentality. It seems like everybody certainly cares more about winning than they do about their stats. And so I think that's a great thing to have,
Yep.
even when you've been through a little rough patch, so that you can kind of come out on the other side and still achieve your goals. Because everything's still in front of you. You can certainly still make the NCAA tournament. You could win. The way you played against Kansas, I think in the tournament, you guys could beat them, no question, in the conference tournament.
I think that we can beat any team that steps in front of us.
I do too. And for perspective for those watching, you guys do have 4 wins against top 15 teams this year. So
Yep.
you've risen to the occasion on several times. And again, 2 very close losses against Kansas and Texas, both top 20 teams, Kansas being a number 8 team at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yep.
That both of those games could have gone either way.
Yep. Just got to find a way to win those.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think you will. Well, Jalen, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you talking to us. And I know that you are a pivotal part to the team there, and I wish you the best of luck. And I can only hope that I'm watching you deep into March, and I'll be cheering loud for you.
Thank you for having me.
It's always good talking to you, Jay, and go Sooners. Boomer.
Yes, sir. Sooner.
There you go. Hey, thanks again, Jalen, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Take it easy.